fantasy author and from Minnesota in the United States. As a child, he put together three books or little books from scrap paper, and his earliest story was about a dragon who gave flowers to children. Stay tuned for more about our featured author today. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the Writer's Corner live show. Joined us, then a hearty warm welcome to the Writer's Corner live show. Now, if you're not following us yet, please do, because if you hit the follow button, you'll get a notification when Mary and I go live with the next episode of the Writer's Corner live show. I'm Bridgetti Limbanda from Cape Town in South Africa, and in today's show, Mary and I will be talking to Zachary Hagen. We've been going live for over 4.5 years with the Writer's Corner live show. But if you're new to the show, if you've never watched the Writer's Corner live show before, feel free to let us know that you are new, and we'd be happy to give you a shout out. Our live stream is brought to you by Creative Edge, StreamYard, and Be Live Media. So a very warm welcome, whether you're watching us over on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on LinkedIn. And if you're also watching us over on Amazon Live, then a very hearty, warm welcome to you as well. Now, as always, when we start the show, we share some tips and tricks with you to level up your online game when it comes to marketing your books. Now, thanks to the pandemic, you no longer are limited to your local library or local school where you would normally go and talk about your books, or just to your local community. Thanks to the pandemic, we've all gotten a lot more comfortable on camera, and we now talk about our books online. It means that you've literally opened up your opportunities to share your knowledge and your books with people worldwide, wherever the internet is available. Now, talking about leveling up on your online appearance, there are, simple ways and a little bit more advanced ways in which you can level up. So talking about how you look in terms of a camera, if you can afford it, some people go for something fancy like a DSLR camera, and that is really, really incredible. However, you could also use a webcam. This was my very first Logitech Logitech webcam that I'm using now. But right now, for the show, Mary and I are using the Logitech Brio, which is a 4K webcam, which is fantastic. So you can level up doing that, or you can use the built-in camera on your laptop. Here's a quick tip. Sometimes, your view might be a bit fuzzy, and it can be as simple as just taking the cleaning cloth that came with your webcam, or something that you use for your glasses, and just give the lens a wipe to make sure that it's clear and sharp. Now, people will forgive you if your view is not that fantastic, or if you've got some issues with it, but people will not forgive sound. You do want to make sure that people can hear you. Now, generally speaking, people can hear you okay with your built-in sound. I do not personally recommend the built-in sound that comes with your laptop, for example. I do recommend that you get a microphone that you can plug in. And, whether you're using your phone or whether you're using your laptop, there are some simple devices like the iRig that you can plug in. I really like the Rode Lavalier, which is a lapel microphone. They're very, very reasonably priced. So, you can invest. I recommend you invest in one of those. And, if all else fails, the good old trusted earphones will do the job as well, because now you're using the earphone that comes with your earphones. So it's as simple as making little changes like that can make a huge difference. My personal favorite, for example, is the Apple ones because I like the fit. But again, they're a dime a dozen. Go with what works for you, but do use something. Some people for their brand like over ear one. I don't like that personally for myself, but if it's part of your brand, then do use that. Um, of course, this is the microphone I'm using. You don't have to go something that big, but you can use a plug-in one. The other suggestion that I really do want to share with you is that when you are using your phone, now when you go live on TikTok, for example, um, or Instagram, you're going to be using your phone, and this is what the phones look like on the inside, by the way. So you generally would be using your phone in portrait mode if you're going live on Instagram or TikTok. But what you want to do for Facebook Live, for LinkedIn, for Amazon, for YouTube, you want to turn your phone into landscape. That way, you've got a bigger screen real estate to deal with. And here's a quick tip. If you find yourself in a hotel room or someplace and you've got nothing else with you, you can take your phone, use some sticky tape or press stick and put your phone onto the nearest window. The reason why that works is you're going to have your phone at a 90-degree angle, which is the best look, and you're going to have front-facing light when you do that, which is what you want to do. What you don't want to do is hold your phone in your hand. You want to use any kind of tripod. They're a dime a dozen, but do use some kind of a tripod because it's going to stabilize your phone. It's impossible for you to talk about your book and hold your phone in your hand at the same time. You're going to be shaking your phone and it's going to make people feel seasick. So you don't want to do that. Do put your phone on a tripod or put it onto the window. Now, for our amazing guest today, but before we invite our guest, I want to invite my co host to join me. Mary Elizabeth Jackson is both a friend, and we've been co hosting for a good number of years. She's a special needs and disabilities advocate, an educational speaker, a podcaster, a ghostwriter, and an award winning author. And with that, let me say welcome to Mary. Mary, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Yes, I'm listening to everything you're talking about, and all these things are very helpful to make the show, any show that you do, anytime you go live, the best it can be. So we're very grateful for all these external tools and toys to use. But I'm so excited to be here with you today. We have a great author on, and we can't wait to bring him up.
Absolutely. So, if any of you that are watching at the moment have not met Zachary yet, he is a fantasy author and editor from Minnesota in the United States. So, I'm in Cape Town, Mary's in the United States. So, we kind of in two continents today. Sometimes we're in three continents, That's the nice
That's
thing about
right.
what we do.
Yes.
And he's had a love for writing from an early age. He said, and we're going to ask him about that when he joins us in a moment. He says, as a child, he put together little books from scrap paper. And his earliest story was about a dragon who gave flowers to children. How sweet!
I know, isn't that precious? I know. I read that and I went, oh my gosh, I just love him.
I know, and now he's both an author, and an editor, and he teaches creative writing, and he says he loves watching his students thrive. So, without any further ado, let's give a hearty warm welcome to our author for today, Zachery.
Hi, Zachary.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh, we're
It's
so
a
glad you're here. That was
pleasure.
yes, very much.
Welcome, welcome to the show. We're glad that now we asked you on short notice to join us, so we're very, very grateful that you could be our guest for today. And you said that, as a child, you were already writing stories. So I want
Mhm.
to ask you, what inspired your love for stories and storytelling at such an early age? How did that happen?
Oh goodness. I think it was a combination of things. My Before I even read his books, I've watched the BBC adaptation of C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia, and I loved those. Um, they're a little low tech by today's standards, but they did such a great job of portraying that story, and that was a big part of it. My grandmother, every Christmas, had a tradition that she would read a story every night from December 1st to December 25th to my brother and I, and that was a cherished memory. So, story has always been a really integral part of my life. So, I think it's hard to pin it down to one thing. It's just I was in an environment that thrived on storytelling.
And that's a great thing that your mother started with you, instilling that love for literacy, because it was so important to start it out right in the beginning of a child's life. And so that kind of goes right into the question of your first little book that you put together. We want to hear all about that. So tell us about it.
I don't have a lot of memories of it actually until my mother was going through some old stuff that she had when she was, I guess, because she had to produce some artifacts for her master's because she's now a literacy coach as well as a full-time teacher. And she found it, and she was really excited. She called me and she showed it to me on FaceTime, and there were pictures of, well, a crudely drawn dragon. I was by no means a great artist as a child. I'm still not. But it was a story written in a child's vernacular about a dragon who collected flowers from all over a mountainside and brought them to children to make friends with them.
That is so cute. Oh my goodness. So you've literally grown up with this sort of, yearning to become a writer and author. At what, going from there and writing little books as a child, how did that morph into you actually becoming a real life author?
Yeah, so I did always have a desire to write a book, and there were several failed attempts at starting. Um, and I took a couple creative writing classes in college, and that really helped to get me started. Actually, Eternity's Well, my first novel, I started in and for my advanced creative writing class that was um, called Mapping the Publication Maze, and it was a very insightful and helpful class. But I actually didn't finish that book until spring of 2021. So it took me a while to get through that. I think the transition was, I always had other things to do. I always had something else that seemed more important. And at the beginning of 2021, I lost my teaching job at the time. I was really sick and they needed to let me go, which I completely understand. But it took me about a month and a half to recover, and then I had nothing else to do. And I had this unfinished manuscript, and TikTok was really starting to blow up. So I hopped on TikTok to start talking about writing and interacting with other authors, and that gave me sort of the push to finish writing Eternity's Well.
Wow. Well, we're sorry that you were sick, but it did lead to something, didn't it? That was very positive in the end. And we're glad that you're better. And it seems like those things come about sometimes,
Mhm.
So everyone has different reasons for their loves of fantasy and sci-fi. What is your particular draw to fantasy?
You know, I think it's just the fact that anything is possible within fantasy and sci-fi, and there's so many different ways of making the impossible possible. Um, I'm also a very spiritual and religious person, and I don't think that there's as much of a separation between what we call fantasy and the supernatural as a lot of people think there is. And that's a personal belief, but I think that story helps us to see different parts of reality that we don't often acknowledge.
Very, very true. Very true.
And is there a particular author or book or series that inspire you to want to get into to become a fantasy author, or that inspires your style of writing in terms of fantasy?
There are three main authors, I think, that have really informed style and desire. And of course, as one of the main points of inspiration would be C.S. Lewis. The Chronicles of Narnia was the first full book series that I finished, and so it is still my greatest love in literature. Um, Other authors and series would be The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini and J.R.R. Tolkien's books. Although secretly a little bit more so the movies than the books because he's so long-winded. But his world building and the way in which he creates character archetypes that are so strong and really stand on their own, I think helped me a lot with that aspect of my writing.
Absolutely. Okay, so the Eternal Chronicles series that you have has 3 books in it. Is it where people, do they need to read them in succession, or any of them standalone? Because everyone's series are different. So,
I would definitely read them in succession. If you jump in
okay.
at the third book, you are going to be lost because there's a
Hmm.
lot. It's going to be a 5-book arc. The last 2 are coming out this next year, I believe in June and December. So I'll be done with the series by this time next year.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
I'm currently in the middle of writing the 4th book. So, but
Okay. And
yes, definitely in succession.
are you self-published or traditionally published?
Sort of indie because I own a
Okay.
publishing house and my
Okay.
publishing house publishes the books.
Gotcha. All right.
I
Well,
have
we
an
love you.
and a business around it. So it's sort of self-publishing, but also not because a business entity does own the imprints and the copyrights.
Gotcha.
And how did you come to that decision? Because a lot of people grapple with which way they're going to go in terms of getting published. How did you make your decision to be an indie published?
I think that a big part of it was I am a little bit of a control freak. And I will own that. I'm a teacher and I'm a writer, and I have very strong opinions, and all that added up to I didn't feel comfortable handing any part of the creative process over to someone else to have final say. I do outsource for editing and cover design and those sorts of things because even though I am an editor, I still feel very strongly that you need a second pair of eyes, maybe a third or fourth on a manuscript. So I do outsource that. And those other things that I'm not talented at. Um, but I think that was a big part of the decision. I wanted to make sure that I got the message across that I wanted to get across without being told that I had to tweak this. I didn't want to have to combine characters or delete scenes or add scenes that didn't make sense to me. And that's a problem with traditional publishing, is that I think sometimes, particularly for younger and inexperienced authors, that because they think that they know what sells, they try to change the story, even though realistically, there's a market for pretty much everything. I mean, there are candles that smell like tennis balls. If you can sell that, you can sell your story the way that it is. So I wanted to find my audience and not, penguins or knocks or, any of their audiences. I wanted to find my audience. Another part of it was that I love entrepreneurial things and I wanted to own a business around the books. And I wanted to be able to start with mine, but move on to publishing and editing for other authors as well.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes. And you do have a lot of control that way. And it is hard when you create something, then you hand it off to someone and you're hoping they see the same vision that you do. So some instances you do have to surrender some of that. So yeah, we want to ask you about your covers. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. Where was the inspiration for the covers? And, when you were finding somebody to do the cover design, did you guys click very easy about your desires for what you wanted it to look like?
I did with this cover designer. The first book actually had a different cover at one point, and that was a difficult relationship. It was by no means an ugly cover, but I did notice an uptick in sales after I republished the first book. But yeah, so I found this cover designer. His name is Eunice F. I think there's an F on the end of his name. And I found him on Fiverr. My brother actually found him on Fiverr because I was looking for a new cover designer for the second book when I was in the publishing cycle for that. And I didn't want to go with the same designer because I just couldn't see in my head how the second book could have been designed in her style. And I was like, I need something that feels magical and ethereal because that's what these books are. And my brother found this artist that does vector designs and different things like that. And he showed me the first draft and I was like, that's it. You're designing all of my books.
It's amazing, when you discover someone that you really like, and that can take those images and visions out of your head and translate that onto paper. I think that is truly magical. And that's the person you want to hold on to, because they literally see your vision the way you envision it in your head. So it's a special relationship that you have with a cover artist. Now, I don't know if you have access to reading us a short excerpt of your book. Is that possible?
Yes, I have a snippet of Eternity's Refuge, the third book that came out this November, pulled up here, actually. The glamour fell away from the boat as the bow of red steel passed into the cave. Marvin came out and called into the darkness. Followers of Michael, I have returned with strangers who are friends. Come out. The darkness of the cave was an illusion. When Marvin spoke, light sparked to life, illuminating the darkness. Hundreds of eyes stared back at them from what had been blackness before. Men, women, and children, the rich and the poor, people from all walks of life were there. There's so many more people than I expected, said Neander. I didn't know, though I suppose that's a good thing. The boat slid up to a dock in front of an underground village. Huts made of many things stretched far back into the cave. As the boat's passengers disembarked, a gasp of shock ran through the crowd gathered there.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, will you have these turned into, will they go into audiobooks, or do you already have that done?
The first book is an audiobook right now. We are waiting for First Horizons, my publishing house, to make some money back on that before we greenlight the audiobook for the second one, but that is in the works. And we have a fantastic narrator who is excited to do the other books. He's just waiting on us to greenlight it.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you have a great voice for reading. So it was, very soothing, very kind of, I could really visually see what you had written about. So that's always good, right?
Told that if I had the equipment, I might do the narration myself. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
move in that direction.
I think you should.
Hey, maybe.
Absolutely. Not everyone has the kind of voice where you should be narrating your own books, but I think if you have the right voice, then you absolutely should, because you can read it the way you want people to read it, which you would have to sort of find a really good narrator who could translate what you want, the way you want them to read, and that's not always easy to find.
No.
So if you can do it yourself, by all means. So when is your next book due for publication? When can people expect the next one? Do you have a date in mind yet?
Yes, I know it's in June, and I know that I gave my publicist, I gave Mickey the date. So let me, publication, it is right.
And we'll give a shout
So
out to
that
your
was next
publicist.
June 2023. Is that correct?
Fantastic. June 2023. I believe that we're aiming for the 22nd. If I put it down here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's about 7 months almost away exactly from where we are now. So I wish you all the best with that. And I assume you're going to be using the same cover artist.
I am. I'm really excited about it. When all 5 books are done, I'm really excited to see them all on the shelf. I haven't told anyone else outside of, my close circle this, but it's actually going to be a reverse rainbow. If you look at the
Nice.
covers, it starts at purple, goes to blue, green. So the next one will be a yellowy orange, and then the last one will be a very bright, fiery red.
Nice. I love
So
that.
the colors are no accident. You've actually engineered that from the beginning.
Strategic planning. I like it. Now, after you're done with this 5 in this series, do you have plans for another series?
I have actually started writing my next project in little scads here and there. It is a retelling of the Aladdin story told from the princess's perspective with a massive twist.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh my gosh. Okay, we definitely have to have you back on when you get to that point. That's exciting. Very exciting.
That one, I'm expecting it to come out in early 2024, just because I will be finished writing the last of the Eternal Chronicles at about, I would say, probably September. I'll be done writing, and then it's just the publishing cycle after that. So after that, I'm free to work on the other project.
Oh, that's exciting. So cool. We are so excited you came and joined us this morning, and that we're excited to share this with our audience. We're so grateful for our audience, and your book is in the carousel on Amazon, so go get a copy. This is a great time to get a copy of your book. Get all 3 of them, right?
Oh, yeah, they're great to binge read. I had a student that wanted to read them, and I think she finished them all in a week.
Wow. Okay, she is a serious reader.
She is a very serious reader. I know some people have sat down and just, one person that reviewed the book in his review said that he sat down and read the entire first book in one sitting. And I was like, I don't even have that much dedication to read my book in one sitting. Thank God for people that love reading that much.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, that is amazing. Well, we will have to have you back on and following your journey. We're very excited to support you, Zachary, and we love what you're doing. Thank you so much for being here today with us on the Writers Corner Life Network. Right, Bridgetti?
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Before we say goodbye to you, now you also teach writing. Do you have a final word of advice for anybody that's wanting to get into writing and haven't yet started? What would your advice be to them?
I would say my advice is twofold. One, you have to be able to figure out whether you are someone who can just sit down and write the book or whether you need to outline it. That's number one. Number two is whether you're going to just write by the seat of your pants, where we get the word pantser from, or outline everything. Allow yourself to ask and answer the question, what if, and don't hold back on what the answer is.
Good advice.
That is awesome advice. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I want to thank everyone, thank our audience, whether you were watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Twitch, and also over on Amazon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Zachary, thank you so much. We appreciate your words of wisdom for anyone wanting to get into writing. And we wish you all the best with finishing this series. To the next one coming out in June 2023, and then also your project following it. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you back on the next episode of the Writers Corner live show. Thank you so much for watching with us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.